nice slice of pound cake. Oh, it's just so good with like a cup of coffee or really any time. Hey everybody, it's fall and it's apple season. And so today we're going to take the pound cake and the apple and marry it together to make this raw apple pound cake. So the recipe for this raw apple pound cake comes from one of those community cookbooks, you know, that we all have and love, and the families go together and put together the best family recipes to submit into these cookbooks. And this one was from a manufacturing facility that Barry used to work at in Richmond, Virginia, like for 12 years, where he was a manufacturing engineer. He wasn't little, but he was a manufacturing engineer there. But anyway, before we get into the recipe, I want to take time to give a shout out to Steps Hillcrest Orchards in Hendersonville, North Carolina, where we got these wonderful Winesap Stamen apples for cooking. It was such a great time to go there and visit the farm and visit with our friends. It was such a great day. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to start on this recipe and incorporate these delicious apples into our sweet and cinnamon apple pound cake.
So as I said, we are making this delicious apple pound cake. So before we get started into this recipe, let's go ahead and get together our equipment and ingredients. So I use a stand mixer, and I like to get my food processor because it calls for chopped apples. I don't know about you, but I'm not going to stand there and chop 3 cups worth of apples when I have a food processor and I can grate them coarsely. Our ingredients are oil, sugar, eggs, vanilla, salt, soda, cinnamon, flour, our cooking apples, and a cup of chopped pecans. Now also with this recipe, I put a little crumb topping on. So for that, you're going to need brown sugar, 3 tablespoons of butter, and more chopped pecans. I hope you like pecans. If you don't, you can always substitute a different nut. And we took a section wedger to cut the apples. I guess that's what you call it. But anyways, it cuts the apples into sections, and it will take the core out of the center, so it just makes it easier for them to run through the food processor. Then next, go to the food processor, putting in the grating blade, and go ahead and grate away until you have approximately 3 cups of grated apple. I think I grated 4 apples for this recipe. Next, I went and I got out the butter, and I forgot to get out the butter early. So shame on me, so I had to cut my 3 tablespoons of butter, and I put them into the microwave to soften it up a little bit. But you don't want it too soft, but you want to be able to make a nice little crumb topping along with about 1/3 cup of brown sugar and 1/2 cup of pecans. So I crumbled together the butter and the brown sugar. Maybe like pat it down just a little bit, but not much. Now we're going to go ahead and put together our cake. So starting with the oil, mix the sugar and the oil into your stand mixer. Just go ahead and turn it on slow so everything just starts incorporating in together. And then you're going to go ahead and you're going to put in the following ingredients in order. So it's 3 eggs, add a little vanilla. It calls for a teaspoon of vanilla, but you know, I always like a little extra vanilla in mine. I just love vanilla. 1 teaspoon salt, and I've used the pink Himalayan salt. 1 teaspoon soda. Now the soda, make sure that you do get this measured correctly because that is one of your chemical reaction ingredients. So you don't want to overdo the soda. And then 1 teaspoon cinnamon. Once again, a little bit extra, doesn't hurt anything. Just add to the yumminess. Then we're going to go ahead and incorporate the 3 cups of flour. Kind of let this blend in really good before we add the apples. Now we're going to go ahead and put those apples in and let them fold into the mixture. And then lastly, add your pecans. Just go ahead and incorporate those in. And once they're all done, turn off your stand. Release your paddle. If you're using a stand mixer like me, beat it down a little bit, put it into the side for somebody else to lick it off, because some people like to live dangerously. They just forego the raw egg yolk, dilemma. And so you cream that all together, put it into your pan, make sure it's shaken down good, and then we're going to put it into the hot oven of 375. But now we're going to bake this cake for 1 hour. So once it's done baking and we have turned it out of the pan, hopefully it will come out of the pan nice and neat. We'll see how it comes out and give it a little taste test.
So the cake is not that pretty, but you know what happens when you don't have a pretty cake? It usually tastes really darn good. So, let's see. Seems tender. It's crumbly. It's moist.
Yum.
Fit to eat.
So we went ahead and made the cake, and Barry and Aaron loved that also. Very moist cake, a little bit crumbly, but hey, that just gives you a little bit extra to pick up with your fork at the end. And so I hope you go ahead and try this cake, because I think your family would love it. And if you do, send me pictures and let me know if you try it out and what your comments are about it. So for this and other recipes, make sure to keep signing up and reading our blogs. Until next time, everybody. Bye.